There is a hen at my feet on the cobbles outside my byre this morning, going into her 6th year, and last season she laid 311 eggs against 365 days on the calendar. In 19 years of keeping her line, I have never once had a vet out to her, not for a wound, not an infection, not anything at all. She does not eat any more than the rest of the run. She does not need a lamp in that shed through December. She does not ask me for a single thing off a vet's shelf in a normal year. She has never once needed anything special from me at all. There is another hen 2 pens along from her this morning, and hers very nearly finished a breeding program I had run for years. In this video, I am going to tell you 3 breeds I love and 3 breeds I hate. 6 breeds have come through this croft in 19 years, and I have run every one of them against the same 4 tests before deciding whether she stays or goes. My name is Angus Douglas. I croft on the west coast of Scotland. 5th generation on this ground, sheep on the hill and hens behind the byre, and I have run all 6 of these breeds through that same run. My wife has views about which of them earn their keep and which do not, and she is right about most of them. Here is the part that should make you uneasy. The shed that sold me both of these birds and the catalogue behind it will never once put a real figure on what a breed costs you over its life, because the only number they want you thinking about is the one on the till receipt on the day you buy her. Nobody in that business is paid to tell you what happens in year 2 and year 3, so stay with me, because by the end of this you are going to know exactly which of these 6 is which, what that second hen cost me and why the man who sold you the catalogue photo has never once mentioned any of it to you. Now, here is what most folk get wrong before they have even bought a single chick, and if you do not understand this, nothing else I say today will land properly. A hen does not tell you what she is like when she is calm. Any hen looks calm, scratching about in the sun. She tells you what she is like the moment she is frightened. That is the whole test, and it is the only one that has ever meant anything to me. My grandfather called it reading the corner. Every time a new batch went into the run as young birds, he would clap his hands once, hard, and watch where they went. The birds that scattered and carried on scratching within a minute, those were the keepers. The birds that piled into one corner on top of each other and stayed there, shaking, 10 minutes later, those told him everything he needed to know about a breed before he had spent a single winter with them. I still do it. I did it with every breed I am about to tell you about, and it has never once lied to me. He learnt it the hard way, mind, not out of a book. He kept a batch of game-fowl crosses back in the 1950s that a dealer in Inverness swore were the quietest birds he had ever handled, standing calm as you like in a show pen. My grandfather took them home, clapped his hands the first morning in the run, and watched 3 of them go straight over a 5-foot fence and into the road. He never bought on a show pen again. He bought on the clap. Right, the corner test is the first of 4 questions I ask about any breed before I decide whether she has a home on this croft for good. Does she keep her nerve? Does she keep the weight and the health through a Highland winter with no lamp and no heat? Does she breed true, and does she breed at all? And does she stay roughly the size and shape and colour her mother was, so that what I hatch next spring is worth the trouble of hatching? 4 questions. Every breed I am about to walk you through, I am going to measure against those same 4 things, and that is what will tell you, breed by breed, why 3 of them are gone from this croft for good, and 3 of them are staying till I am too old to lift a bucket. Right, one of the breeds I would never keep again is not one breed at all, and that is half the problem with her. She is one of the hybrids the big incubation sheds turn out by the tens of thousands and sell under some pretty made-up name, something like a copper marvel or a bluebell bell, printed on a card with a photograph of a hen that looks exactly like every other hen on the card next to it. Mine cleared a 5-foot fence into my wife's cabbages, more times than I care to admit, wing clipped or not, and here is why, and it is simply physics once you know it. A bird's ability to get off the ground depends on the ratio of her wing surface to her body weight, what we call wing loading. This hybrid is bred deliberately light on the frame, because a lighter bird turns feed into egg more efficiently. That is the whole point of her, and there is nothing dishonest in that. But the very same lightness that makes her cheap to feed is what puts her over a fence every single time. That is the difference between a breed I hate and a breed I love, right there. Before we have even talked about eggs, it is not what she lays, it is the frame underneath her. And that is not the only mark against her. These are first-generation crosses, which means there is no consistency behind the name on the card. I have seen keepers buy one of these hybrids, expecting a particular egg colour off the little disclaimer on the sign, may or may not lay blue, and hatch out chicks that look nothing like the photograph they bought from. There is nothing wrong with a hybrid. You get real vigour out of a cross like that. But if you want to know what you are going to get next spring, and I do, this is not the bird. Now before I get into it, one thing and one time only. There is more of this than I can fit in any video. How to read a hen 3 days before she goes down. How to feed a flock off your own ground, month by month, winter included. What to handle yourself in the byre and what to lift the phone for. How my grandfather did the things he never wrote down. Every method I've never given out, I put all of it in a book at angusdouglaspoultry.com. Link in my description or scan the code on your screen. That is the only time you will hear me say it. Now let us get back to the video. Right, back to the run, because there are 2 more breeds I would never keep again, and I am about to be honest with you about myself first. I want to be honest with you about something before I go further, because I have oversold nothing today, and I am not going to start now with myself. Apple cider vinegar in the water gets credited with fixing half the temperament and health problems I am about to describe, and it does not do the half of what folk claim for it. I still put a splash in through the winter, because it keeps the drinker cleaner, and it does no harm. But it will not turn a flighty bird calm, and it will not stop a hen plucking. Do not buy a bottle of it expecting a personality transplant on any bird in this video. The next breed I would never keep again is the Cuckoo Marans, and she is the hen 2 pens along that I told you about at the start, the one whose bill I am still adding up. Beautiful dark eggs, near enough the colour of good milk chocolate, and I will not pretend otherwise, but feather picking has followed this breed on my ground from the day the chicks came out from under the lamp. Right now, in the pen behind me, I have a hen with no tail left at all, plucked clean by her own sisters over about a fortnight, and she is not the first wound I have paid a vet to look at on this breed, nor the first bird I have lost to a frost that a proper Highland hen would have shrugged off. Add the vet call-outs, the birds I lost to cold 2 winters running, and the breeding stock I had to cull when the programme was not paying its way, and £1,100 is the true figure over 3 years, not the price on the card at the till. Now, before you write in the comments that plucking is caused by overcrowding or boredom, and it can be, I raise every breed on this croft in the same run, on the same ground, at the same stocking rate, fed the same way, and not one other breed in 11 years has torn strips off each other the way this one does. There is old poultry writing going back before the war that calls feather picking heritable in certain lines, and there was a study out of one of the Scottish agricultural colleges in the 1980s that put a figure on how much of it runs in the blood rather than the conditions. I will be honest with you, I do not have that figure to hand, and I would rather tell you that than make one up. But get on the breed forums yourself and you will see keepers all over this country posting photographs of roosters with a line underneath saying ignore the tail, it got plucked off. It is not just my yard. On top of the plucking, this breed does not carry cold the way a proper Highland bird needs to. We had a hard frost last winter, and every rooster I had in that breed came out of it with the tips of his comb gone black. I will not keep breeding a bird that cannot stand my own weather. That programme is finished on this croft, and it is not coming back. The third I would never breed again is the Golden Campine, and this one is a genuine shame because she may be the prettiest bird I have ever kept. Laced gold and black feathers, near enough wild in her markings, and that is closer to the truth than folk realise, because this breed sits closer to a wild game bird than to anything you would call domesticated. The chicks need a noticeably higher protein feed than an ordinary chick starter, and if you do not give it to them, you get leg trouble that looks uncannily like what a young turkey gets when it is reared wrong. The legs simply cannot keep up with the body. We fed it right and still had trouble. In the run itself, the hens went to pieces every time I came in with the bucket, flying at the wire, and the cockerels turned properly aggressive with no provocation at all. I will not keep an aggressive cockerel on this croft, full stop, because I have grandchildren who go in that run, and that is a line I do not move for any breed, however bonny she looks in the sun. Right, before I turn to the 3 I would keep till I die. Let me tell you the one wound in that whole business I have not mentioned yet, because it matters. If a plucked wound is still weeping, or it has gone from pink to angry red with a smell off it, that is not a home job anymore. That is a call to the vet, and you make it before you finish watching this. This one, you can sort with isolation and clean bedding and a bit of patience. That one, you do not sit on. Now, the third best breed I have kept, the one that just misses the top two, is the English Orpington, and this particular hen is a Jubilee. Feathers like a partridge, heavy as a small dog in your arms, cold, hardy, which matters enormously up here, and heavy enough that she has never once cleared my fences, which after that business in the cabbages this morning is not a small thing to me. But she did not make the top spot for one reason. She is dim, genuinely, properly dim. I have watched one of these stand and look at a dog running straight at her and simply not move. Training her onto a new routine takes twice as long as any other breed on the place, and the roosters, for reasons that took me a season to get to the bottom of, have real trouble with fertility. What I found, and every serious keeper of this breed will tell you the same, is that the fluff on the underside of the tail can be thick enough to get in the way of the actual mating itself. The fix folk recommend is trimming that fluff back and dropping your rooster to hen ratio right down, 1:3 instead of 1:10. We did both. It helped. It did not solve it. From a homesteader's point of view, where you want a flock that can breed itself forward without help, that is a real mark against her, however handsome she stands in the yard. Second favourite, and this is where it gets close, is my Americanas. My wife calls them the Dalmatian hens for the speckling, and they are a picture, little beards and muffs round the face. These are the best layers I keep, by a distance. Blue-green eggs, a touch smaller than the others, but there are so many of them it makes no odds. They lose a point for one thing only. They have never once gone broody for me in 19 years, and I like a breed that will sit her own eggs. It is half the sustainability of keeping hens at all. And they are flighty, properly flighty, the sort that pile into a corner and stay there when I come in with the bucket of a morning. I am working that out of the line, slowly, breeding from the calmest hens each year. But it is not there yet. I will say this in their favour, and it matters to me more than the flightiness. In 19 years I have never once had an aggressive cockerel out of this breed. Flighty, yes, nasty, never. And the breed I would keep if I could only keep one. The one that has been on this croft the longest of any of them is the one I introduced you to at the very start. The splash, blue-laced red Wyandotte stood at my feet this morning. Here is why. I will say plainly, the camera does her no justice at all, because in the sun the lacing on her feathers properly shines, heavy-bodied, so she has never cleared a fence in her life, cold hardy enough that I have never lost one to frost. She takes to a new routine faster than any bird I have kept, and she is the calmest breed on this croft by a distance, and I mean that against every breed, not just the ones I have told you about today. She goes broody easily, which on a sustainable small holding is worth more than people give it credit for, because it means the flock can renew itself without an incubator or a single penny spent. And she lays well, 311 last season, proper dual-purpose bird, meat or eggs, depending what the year calls for. When a family with young children asks me for a rooster that will be reliably safe round burns, this is the only breed I will ever hand over, and I have handed over a good many. 19 years, and I have never had one turn aggressive, not to another bird, and not to a person. Let me tell you plainly what none of this 6 will do, because honest is better than impressive. None of this list will fix a run kept on bare-packed dirt with nothing living in it. Every breed I have named, good or bad, does worse on dirt than on ground with grass and soil under it. And if that is what you have got, some of the calm breeds will still go flighty, and some of the hardy ones will still struggle. This whole comparison assumes a bird that has somewhere decent to stand. If your birds are on bare ground in a small run, I am not going to tell you a breed alone will fix that, because it will not. Here is the thing the source of most of this trouble never gets said about, and it is the part I have never seen anybody put plainly. A breed is not a bird standing in front of you. A breed is a decision, made again every single year, about which hens you hatch from. The Wyandotte that has been calm on this croft for 19 years is calm because every spring I hatch from the calmest 2 or 3 hens and no others. Stop making that decision. Buy in from a hatchery that is breeding purely for volume and appearance rather than temperament, and the feathers stay exactly the same colour while the character quietly drains out of the line. And nobody notices for 2 or 3 generations because the bird still looks right in the catalogue photograph. Now I know the questions some of you will have, because they come in every single time I put out a video like this. First, can feather plucking be trained out with more space? Sometimes it eases with more room. It does not disappear, and I would not bet a breeding program on hope alone. Second, are hybrids bad birds? Not remotely. They are extraordinary layers for the money. They are simply not the bird for a man who wants to hatch his own next spring and know what he is getting. Third, and this is the one that matters most, some of you will take this to your local breed club and they will tell you I am wrong about one breed or another. They are not lying to you. They have been taught by people who were taught by people whose whole standing in that club depends on the standard being about appearance, and appearance is a perfectly good thing to breed for. It is simply not the same thing as temperament, and nobody in that room is paid to say so out loud. Right. 5 things 19 years of breeding these birds has taught me that will not be in any catalogue. 1. A hen with a lighter comb in winter is telling you her circulation is struggling before anything else shows, and it is worth a look at her feet the same day. 2. The corner test I told you at the start works on chicks from about 4 weeks old. You do not have to wait for grown birds to find out what you have got. 3. A breed that broods easily will nearly always broody harder in her second year than her first, so do not judge a young hen's mothering by her first season. 4. Feather plucking nearly always starts at the base of the tail before it ever moves to the back, so a hen missing tail feathers with everything else intact is your early warning, and it costs nothing to notice, only a bit of attention while you feed. 5. And this one costs nothing at all either. Watch which hen the others follow out of the coop first of a morning. She is very often the one whose daughters will breed truest, because a flock generally follows its steadiest bird, not its flightiest. Now, the money side of this, because there is one, a trio of day-old chicks costs about the same whichever breed you choose, £35 to £40, give or take, but a plucked and half-feral flock costs you in vet call-outs for wounds that will not heal, in stock lost to a cockerel nobody should have kept, in a breeding program you have to abandon after 3 years of feed and time. Against that, a calm, hardy breed that breeds true costs you nothing extra at all beyond the same bag of feed, and pays you back every single spring in chicks worth keeping. There is no company that profits from you choosing a calm breed over a flighty one. Nobody advertises Temperament, because Temperament does not come in a sack with a picture on the front. I am not telling you there is a meeting somewhere where the hatcheries decided to breed for looks over character. I do not believe that, and I never have. It is quieter than that. Nobody whose living comes from selling volume has any reason to slow down and breed for nerve, and so nobody has, for the best part of 100 years. Zoom out with me for a minute. 30 years ago, most folk buying hens bought from a neighbour who had kept the line for a decade and could tell you plainly what the mother was like. Now most folk buy from a shed 200 miles away that has never met the bird's grandmother and could not tell you if they wanted to. A pensioner on a fixed income who loses 3 hens to a rooster he should never have kept, or spends money he does not have on vet visits for wounds that keep reopening, feels that loss a great deal harder than a younger man starting out. You did not forget how to pick a good bird. It was taken from you, quietly, one hatchery catalogue at a time. Here is the whole of today in 5 lines. Clap your hands the first morning with any new breed and watch where they run. That is the corner test. Ask what the mother laid, not just the breed name, before you buy from anybody. Keep a calm, broody, heavy bird if you want a flock that renews itself for nothing. Watch the base of the tail on any bird you are unsure of, and every spring hatch only from your 2 or 3 steadiest hens, never the flightiest, whatever the catalogue says she is worth. Tell me in the comments what breed is standing in your run right now, and whether she has ever gone for another hen or turned on you. I read every one of these, and half of what I know about breeds outside Scotland has come straight from what you have told me in that box. Next time, since we have been talking about which birds keep their nerve, I am going to show you the 10-second test my grandfather could do with his hands alone that tells you whether a hen in front of you is actually laying right now or has been passing as a worker for months on nothing but good feathers. It is the natural next step after today. If you got something useful out of this one, subscribe and the next will find you on its own. There is another sat there on the screen that goes right along with it. Feed them right, watch them close, ring for help when it matters.